quaint fog of a moonlit night, three friends, Timmy, Jason, and Leroy, settled around a crackling campfire deep in the woods. Armed with flashlights, snacks, and an array of cliches about creepy campfire tales, they were determined to spook each other silly. Little did they know that the night would take on a sinister twist that made their cheesy horror stories pale in comparison to reality itself. As Jason began his tale of the Wailing Woods, a story about an eternally lost ghost who echoed the cries of those who ventured too far into the forest, the air shifted. A chill swept through the trees, causing branches to creak ominously. Timmy laughed nervously and added his own story about the Man in Black, a shadowy figure known for stealing unsuspecting campers' souls for sport. "Very funny, Timmy," Leroy scoffed as he rolled his eyes. But just as he was about to share his own story, the legendary tale of the Whispering Wraith, a sharp rustle interrupted him. They all whipped their heads towards the sound. Silence fell like a heavy blanket over them. "Probably just a squirrel," Jason said bravely. Yet as Leroy began his tale with gusto, a story involving haunted marshmallows, a figure lurked just beyond their firelight. Dark and elusive, it blended seamlessly with the darkness behind it. As Leroy continued his narrative, Timmy noticed that what he assumed was another log at the edge of their light was actually an unsettlingly thin silhouette, watching them intently. "What is that?" he exclaimed, pointing wildly. The friends squinted into the blackness, where eyes gleamed back at them, unblinking and devoid of warmth. "Oh, come on. Very clever special effects. Who's messing with us?" Jason challenged half-heartedly, while trying not to scream like a banshee. But before anyone could formulate a plan, or even agree whether to stay or run like lunatics through the woods, the figure stepped closer. Its face looked to be in pain, but yet it had a menacing grin, not to mention a walk of determination. Panic erupted as Leroy dropped his flashlight, and it rolled away into dark oblivion. They leaped up from their seats, scrambling away from their beloved campfire, their only source of light, as laughter echoed grotesquely from within the darkness surrounding them. "Is this some sort of prank?" Timmy shouted as he collided into Jason, a perfect metaphor for friendship gone wrong under pressure. And they all stumbled backward in terror toward thick brush, while trying desperately not to trip over their own feet or each other. But there was no escape. Every direction seemed plagued by that chilling presence, which now whispered distorted versions of their earlier stories back at them. The Wailing Woods had become real. The Man in Black had emerged from folklore. After what felt like hours, but was likely only minutes filled with screams and foot-stomping panic. Because, let's face it, they were really bad at running. They finally found themselves back near their extinguished campfire, now little more than glowing embers, casting uneasy shadows on terrified faces. As dawn broke and revealed nothing but forest around them, no sign of whatever haunted presence lingered, they sat silently shivering in disbelief, realizing they'd spent an entire night terrified by something they didn't understand, but would probably tell stories about for years to come, mostly revolving around how badly they handled being scared out of their minds. As they packed up to leave, their only trophy being fright-induced camaraderie, they made one unspoken promise. Next time, they'd either embrace old-fashioned board games or gather when daylight reigned supreme, because nothing good ever came out after dark, except for maybe new horror stories starring three foolish friends.